You finally crash on the couch after a long day. You're exhausted, so you pull out your phone, hoping to just zone out and finally turn off your brain. But an hour later, the rest hasn't arrived. Instead, your mind is racing, your chest feels tight, and you're left with a low-grade hum of anxiety that leaves you even more emotionally depleted than when you started. We often view this as a personal failure of willpower, yet the reality is a methodically hijacked nervous system. You're caught in a state of fake rest. While your physical body is completely still, your brain is processing that scrolling session as a high-stakes, high-stress survival environment. To understand why this feels so draining, we have to look at how infinite scrolling interacts with our biological hardware, locking us out of the recovery our bodies actually need. The feeds we scroll through are governed by a principle called variable ratio reinforcement. You never know if the next post will be a boring ad or a video that actually makes you laugh. This is the exact mechanic used by slot machines. The unpredictability keeps the brain engaged, convinced a reward is coming with one more pull. Every novel or emotional post triggers a release of dopamine to keep you seeking. But the satisfaction is fleeting. As soon as you find a reward, there is an immediate drop in motivation, which triggers the brain to crave the next hit. As you continue, this relentless stream of information, or infodemic, begins to trigger the body's hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. This HPA activation floods the body with cortisol. Even though you're just sitting on a couch, your biology is being forced into a sympathetic fight, flight, or freeze state. By chemically replicating chronic stress, doom scrolling keeps the amygdala hypervigilant to threats. This makes actual relaxation physically impossible, as your body remains on high alert. In a healthy state, the brain recovers through the default mode network. This is our biological baseline, active during mind-wandering and quiet reflection. fMRI scans of phone-addicted brains reveal a striking abnormality: heightened activity during resting states. The brain is working overtime instead of recovering. Look at these specific red clusters in the frontal regions. These are the locations of the anterior cingulate cortex and prefrontal cortex. These regions serve as the brain's impulse control and error processing centers. In an addicted brain, they are essentially misfiring, staying in an active monitoring mode even when the user attempts to rest. When these regions stay on high alert, constantly scanning for information and trying to inhibit the urge to keep scrolling, the brain is stuck in a state of active surveillance. This persistent cognitive strain drives soaring anxiety scores and fragmented sleep patterns seen in digital addiction. Infinite scrolling forces these cognitive monitoring systems to stay online. The user is left tired and wired, physically exhausted, but neurologically unable to switch off. True recovery only happens when we manually activate the parasympathetic nervous system. This rest and digest state is required for the default mode network to function without being hijacked by digital stimuli. You can encourage this shift through auditory frequency grounding. Using ambient tones or binaural beats can help guide the brain out of a stress state and into slower alpha or theta wave patterns. To instantly kill that sympathetic hyperarousal, you can use the physiological sigh. Take 2 sharp, short inhales through the nose, followed by 1 long, slow exhale through the mouth to engage the vagus nerve. You can also use a dopamine menu. By performing brief physical movements like stretching or jumping jacks, you provide the brain with a healthy dopamine hit that burns off restlessness without spiking cortisol. Protecting your natural melatonin is also a biological requirement. Dimming screens completely between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. is necessary to prevent artificial light from suppressing the chemicals that create a sense of well-being. Digital platforms are engineered to exploit our biological hardware, but reclaiming rest is a matter of physiology. By applying these specific interventions, we can step out of the digital quicksand and finally recover.